Let's be real. A lot of young people, especially students, feel pretty disillusioned with politics right now. Why bother voting when it seems like none of the parties have your back and promises get broken every election? If that sounds like you need this. I'm Mike Sevier of Vox Political, and whether you're already a student or about to become one, the support you get or don't get from the state will shape your future in a massive way. Back in the day, some of us had student grants that helped make uni affordable. Today, many students are buried in loans that seem to climb higher every year, and the cost of living hasn't become any easier. This isn't just about fees. It's about mental health services, housing, job opportunities, and the basic chance to build a life after graduation. Voting isn't a magic fix, but it is your best tool to influence which party shapes that future. So let's cut through the noise, check what parties really say and do about students, and figure out who might actually be on your side. Welcome to Ballot Box Bingo. I really feel like I need a cheesy theme tune, like one of those game shows that are popular on weekday lunchtimes, to get the feel right. But I haven't. So, what do students actually care about? Before we dive in, here's what surveys and student voices tell us matters most. Tuition fees and student debt. Are fees rising? Are they too high already? Are there plans to cut or freeze them? How much debt will you face? Cost of living and housing. Can you afford rent? What help is there for accommodation costs? Mental health. Support services on campus and NHS access. Education quality and apprenticeships. Are universities and colleges well funded? Are alternatives like apprenticeships supported? Job prospects. Graduates want jobs, not just degrees. Welfare and benefits. Are students eligible for support? How generous is it? We need to talk about the parties, and sadly I mean political parties, not wild student knees-ups. What do they say and what do they do? Well, the Conservatives love telling students they're investing in skills and apprenticeships. They promise what they call responsible management of student finance and say tuition fees are necessary to fund quality education. And what do? Well, since 2010, tuition fees have tripled under Conservative-led governments, from £3,000 to £9,250 a year. Grants were scrapped, replaced with loans, pushing many students deep into debt. Housing support for students has also been limited, and while apprenticeships have been a focus, critics say quality and funding remain patchy. Mental health support funding has increased, but many students say it's not enough to meet demand. So here's the ballot box bingo insight. If you are hoping for lower fees or less debt, the Conservatives won't deliver. And if you're into apprenticeships, you probably won't get what you're hoping for. Labour, the current government. What do they say? Well, Labour pledged to make higher education more affordable, restore maintenance grants, and expand mental health services for students. And what are they doing? In their first year, they've introduced partial maintenance grant restoration for the lowest income students. But tuition fees remain in place. Debt repayment thresholds have been adjusted slightly, but the loan system still leaves many facing decades of repayments. Mental health funding has been increased, though demand continues to outstrip supply. The ballot box bingo insight here is that promises of affordability have seen some progress, but the big ticket change, scrapping fees, hasn't materialized. If you are looking for major reform, you might be waiting a long time. Okay, the Liberal Democrats. What they say. The Lib Dems famously pledged to abolish tuition fees in 2010. They also promote increased funding for mental health and support for apprenticeships. And what do? Well, remember the coalition government of 2010 to 2015? Tuition fees rose from £3,000 to £9,000 under their watch, a bitter pill for many students. Since then, they've tried to rebuild trust with promises to cap fees and increase grants, but scepticism remains. The ballot box bingo insight here is that they have great intentions, but a messy track record. If you believe in giving second chances, they might be worth a look. But can you really afford to make a mistake? The Green Party. What they say? Well, the Greens advocate scrapping tuition fees and providing free education. They also prioritise mental health funding and affordable housing. What they do? Well, as a smaller party with no government experience, they mostly focus on campaigning for these issues and influencing debates. Their environmental policies are strong, but their student-specific impact is largely aspirational. The ballot box insight here is that if you want education free from fees and a party with strong social justice roots, the Greens have your back, but they seem a very long way from office. Your party. Jeremy Corbyn, Zara Sultana. What they say. In July, Zara Sultana announced she was quitting Labour to form a new party with Jeremy Corbyn, accusing the government of failing ordinary people and describing Westminster as broken. The platform prioritises socialism over austerity, calling for wealth redistribution, nationalisation of utilities, free provision of services like childcare and transport, and an end of arms sales to Israel. What they're doing? Well, they've set up a website, informally named Your Party, and within days garnered hundreds of thousands of sign-ups, more than 700,000 subscribers by early August, along with support from dozens of councillors across regions including Wales and Scotland. The party is staging its inaugural conference in autumn 2025 to determine its official name and policies. The ballot box bingo insight here is that if you are disillusioned with Labour's direction and want a bold alternative rooted in left-wing values, anti-austerity, pro-social services and anti-war, this is the option designed to shake things up. Just bear in mind, it's brand new, untested in elections and still defining itself. Plaid Cymru. This is the Welsh nationalists. What they say, Plaid wants to scrap tuition fees in Wales. They've already scrapped it for Welsh students who are studying in Wales. They want to improve student housing and they want to boost mental health funding. And what they do? Well, in the Welsh government, Plaid has worked with Labour to maintain free tuition for Welsh students studying in Wales. Welsh students studying elsewhere in the UK still face fees. Housing remains a concern, with ongoing campaigns for affordable student accommodation. The ballot box bingo insight here is that Plaid has got Welsh students' backs. But remember, it's mostly for Wales-based education. Scottish National Party, Scotland obviously. What they say, Scotland abolished tuition fees years ago for Scottish students. The SNP pushes for expanding student support and mental health services. What they do, tuition fees for Scottish students remain zero for study in Scotland. They also increased maintenance grants and support schemes, but struggle with housing shortages and mental health service demand. Here, the ballot box bingo insight is that if you are a Scottish student studying in Scotland, SNP policies mean no tuition fees and decent support, though living costs are still a challenge. Now we turn to the Northern Irish parties. Sinn Féin supports abolishing tuition fees and increasing funding for student support. It advocates mental health services expansion. The DUP is more conservative on spending, tends to prioritise traditional education funding, but is less vocal on abolishing fees. The SDLP, similar to Sinn Féin, pushes for free education and student welfare. The Alliance focuses on mental health funding and equitable access to education. What they do? Well, the Northern Ireland currently has variable tuition fees. Some students pay fees while others get support. Mental health services have improved but remain stretched. Political deadlock sometimes hampers policy progress. Here, the ballot box bingo insight is that if you are a student in Northern Ireland, party choice can affect tuition fees and support access. So, knowing where each stands matters, even if they're not in UK-wide government. Put it all together, and we have the first ballot box bingo card. Take a good look. What's the big takeaway? For students, no party is perfect. Tuition fees, housing costs, mental health support all remain massive challenges across the board. Conservatives offered very little over 14 years, apart from tripling fees with the Liberal Democrats. Labour promised big changes but hasn't delivered, and smaller parties bring ambitious visions, often untested in power. Your vote matters. Hopefully, Ballot Box Bingo has helped you decide where to put your X. I've been Mike Sevier, and it's time to buy me a coffee. It means donating cash to help Vox Political stay alive. Donate more than £20 and I'll give you a free copy of my reissued first book, Strong Words in Hard Times. A new book is on its way soon. Subscribe to the video mailing list, like and comment on this video clip, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. If you do all that, you'll be helping keep this channel alive, and then you'll be able to see me in the next one.